lovely city. I've never been to Ghent before, so it's great to visit. And today I'm going to tell you a little about why startups fail and how yours can succeed. I thought, of course, I'd start off with a picture of the book, which is available online. And I thought I'd start with this question, which is, what is failure? Because people have lots of different definitions of what failure is. I think it varies if you're in Silicon Valley, if you're in other parts of the world. It's really a very different definition, because I think failure is instrumental to success in the Valley, and perhaps it's not so much in other parts of the world. So this is, let's see if we can. This is the start line at Ironman France. Has anyone here been to Nice or run a marathon? Okay, well good. So we've got half of the equation, been to Nice. I'm going to spend a moment on the other part of the equation, which is the marathon part. Actually, this is an Ironman, and I know this because I was there June 24th of this year. And this is 2,500 people about to get into the chilly water in Nice, France. And you can imagine just what this is like. So 2,500 participants, 2,035 finishers, so 81.4% success rate of finishing this event, and 466 people who attempted this or thought about attempting it did not finish. What does that mean? Did these people fail? I think that's kind of the key question in my mind. And what I like about Ironman events is it is a huge, huge risk to undertake this thing. It is 3.8 kilometers of swimming. It's 180 kilometers of cycling over thousands of feet of elevation, and followed by a 42-kilometer run. So fortunately, I managed to get all those numbers out in kilometers, which was an incredible calculation for me. So how do you finish an Ironman? First, you have to commit. So many people think about saying, I'm going to do this crazy event. It takes 14, 15 hours to do it. Then you have to prepare for 6 to 9 months, training 6 days a week. And then you have to survive. And I say survive because when you're in the Ironman and it's 95 degrees Fahrenheit outside and you are low on energy, you're burning through 10 to 12,000 calories over the course of the day, it's really a question of survival. You get to the start of the marathon, which is this 42-kilometer run after you've done the swimming and the cycling, and you go, how am I possibly going to get from here to the end of the marathon and across the finish line? And that is not too much different than doing a startup. With a startup, you have to commit. A lot of people say, your idea is terrible, this is never going to work, it's going to fail for 1,000 different reasons. You won't be able to get to market, or you won't be able to build the technology, you won't be able to raise money, all these other things. Then you have to prepare. And I think preparing to do a startup, and I've done 5 of them and sold a few of them, I think preparing is all about in here, because every day you can get up and have 100 people. We were hearing about selling, so you have to go contact customers or talk to users, and so many of those people say no to you when you initially put your product out there. So you really have to be prepared to keep saying yes at every moment that you're building your startup. You go pitch 20, 30 investors on Sand Hill Road in the Valley, and many of them will say, this is a terrible idea, or we're not going to give you money for the following reasons. And I know that part because I've been on both sides of the table. I've raised money from VCs, but I've also invested in a number of entrepreneurs. So I've seen what this does to people when they hear the investors saying, no, we're not going to fund your idea. But the difference between doing a startup and doing an Ironman is that you can thrive doing a startup. It's not just about surviving. So when you're doing a startup, you have this commitment, you have preparation, and then it's really, once you find that formula, you can really thrive and build a great company. So why don't people finish the Ironman? This, you might be thinking, well, they don't finish because it's a crazy endeavor. I mean, 14 hours, you get out there, it's obvious. But I would say there are two main categories of factors that cause people not to finish an Ironman. They don't prepare. So they say, I'm just going to get out there and I'll be able to gut it out once I get on the field. And it turns out that to do a 14-hour event, you really cannot gut it out. You really have to prepare. They run out of energy. This actually happens. People don't get enough calories in. You see them asleep in the medical tents. I'm not kidding, because they simply are out of energy. They go to sleep during the race. Some of them do wake up and finish. Or they run out of time. So you have in Europe 16 hours, in the US 17 hours to finish this event, and sometimes you just can't go fast enough, and so you can't finish the event. These are all internal causes. These are things you can prepare for. You can commit, you can prepare, and avoid these problems. External causes. Mechanical failure. You're riding along, you get a flat tire, the chain breaks on your bike, all these other things go wrong, you're unable to finish. Accidents. This really does happen. You get down to the bottom of the hill, you see the ambulance. It's really serious, and you know, someone has crashed into someone else on the bike course. So that does happen. Also in Nice, there are jellyfish in the water. So this is partly an internal issue. You can steer clear of the jellyfish, but sometimes they do come at you and get you. So I don't recommend that. And also the weather. It can be either so hot or so stormy that these factors cause you not to be able to finish the event. So it's really a combination of internal factors and external factors, and I would say many of the internal factors you can in fact control for with proper preparation and commitment. Why don't people finish startups? Why do startups fail? I would say here a lot more is actually in your control than people normally think. I think when people talk about failure, it's very easy to say, well, the market was bad, the stock market crashed, the investors wouldn't give us money. It's very easy to put the blame on these external factors. And I think a big part of being an entrepreneur is thinking about how many factors you can control when you're choosing how to build your company. So internal causes come down, I think, to three things: market, product, and you as the entrepreneur. And I'm going to spend a few minutes on all three of those. There are, of course, external factors, environmental changes. If you're building a clean tech company and the government changes the regulations about what laws there are around your clean tech startup, arguably, you might have been able to predict that the regulatory environment was going to change, but it's very hard to know what's going to change in that kind of environment. So that's something that is probably outside your control. But these other three things, even the market, a lot of people are fond of saying, the market was bad to me, but even the market, and I'll talk about why, is up to you. So, market. I think it's important to pick the right market, not just a big market. What does that mean? Fast food in China is a huge market. Billions of people in China, by anyone's definition, big market. Does that mean you should go out tomorrow morning and start a fast food company in China? Any takers? No. So, I don't know about you, I don't speak Chinese, I don't know how to make Chinese food, and also the market for Chinese fast food is incredibly competitive, very low margin business. So big market, but not a great market, not the right market to go after. So I think investors and entrepreneurs are very fond of talking about big markets. Let's pick a big market so we can build a big company, but I think it's just as important, if not more important, to think about picking the right market. The trend is your friend. This is a great line on Wall Street. What does that mean? A rising tide lifts all boats is another way of saying this, which is if you're on a wave, it's going to be a lot easier to raise money, hire people, and sell product. And those are all things that are hugely important to building your company. So let's talk about some trends that are really popular right now. Big data. Big data is how do I take lots of data, store it, analyze, and get insight from that data. The cloud. Has everyone heard about the cloud? Okay. So the cloud is cliche, but it's cliche for a reason, and that's because it's very popular. Everyone knows what the cloud is. So when you go into investors and you say, we're raising money to build a cloud startup, they at least have some idea of what you're talking about. They know they're going to be putting money into cloud companies. And so when you go in to pitch them on the cloud, they already know what that is. They already have an allocation of capital to go into that area. Mobile. We're all using mobile devices, so that's another big area for investment. And social, perhaps a little less so now, but as you can see from the tweets on screen behind me, by the way, I have no idea what they're saying up there. Social is obviously a very big area. So my point here is these are big trends. They're trends that are driving change. They're areas where customers have to buy. If you're building an enterprise company, a B2B startup, customers have budget for these areas, and the multiples are higher. So when you go to raise money, you'll have less dilution of equity when you're raising capital. And if you were to go public or sell your company, the buyers or the public markets will pay more for your company because the multiples are higher in these categories. So I can't overstate the importance of picking the right market. Product. We all know what a great product looks like. This, by any measure, is a great product. Hundreds of billions of dollars in market cap. Everyone uses this device. People love to talk about the simplicity, the elegance, the ease of use of this device. So when someone says, let's build a great product, you already know what a great product looks like. It looks like this. Your job as an entrepreneur, and my job as an entrepreneur, is to find this mysterious thing called product market fit. It's when you have a great product that people actually want to spend money on. This is a crazy concept. Great product, people who want to use it. You might have a great product, but you built it in the back room, you put it out there, no one actually wants that product. It's really easy to use, but it doesn't solve anyone's need. So, first rule of finding product market fit, get out of the building. I think it's really easy to stay behind the computer, but it's a great thing to go talk to users. Listen to the data. I can't tell you how many entrepreneurs I talk to where I say, what was your initial thesis? And they say, well, we thought we'd go after this market and we'd build this product and so on. I said, well, how long have you been doing that? They said, well, about 2 years. Well, okay, 2 years, that's good, high commitment. How's it going? And they say, pretty well, actually. We've got a couple of people using the product. We think we're off to a good start. And I said, well, if you keep up that pace, you might never get to where you need to get to. So I think it's equally important to commit, but it's also equally important to listen to the data. It's a very hard thing to do. If people aren't using your product or buying it, it's important to face that reality. And third is get to market. We all talk about building products quickly, but it's so easy to just, again, stay in the back room, never get actual user feedback, so get your product out there. Deliver a truly great product. I showed you what a great product looks like. We all know what a great product is, even though it's hard to define specifically, but we know it. But keep it simple, stupid. This is a great rule, the KISS rule. One great feature trumps many good ones. It's easy to build lots and lots of features, especially in an era where building software is inexpensive, but it's hard to build one great feature. Make it easy to use and buy. So I think in this era, you can build sales directly into the product. People can buy the product from the product. Just think about in-app purchasing on the iPhone. So there's a great example of making it easy for people to spend money with you. And finally, understand your users. Again, no reason if you're building a software product, even if you're building a hardware product today, to have that product phone home, instrument that product, and really understand how your users are using it so you can think about what to build in the next version, and also where to convert them to either paid users or to convert them to recruit other users to use your product. So this is a chart, product market fit, from another authority in the space. This is the market phase model. If you think about startups, it's really all about the market exploration part. You discover, you spend all day, every day searching for product market fit. And then once you find that, and you sort of are getting that feeling, that's the mid part of the curve, then you're into the market exploitation part. That's where everything you're doing, raising capital, hiring, selling, all that stuff is going for growth, growth, growth. So discovery, finding product market fit, and going for growth. And I think those are two completely different phases of a startup and require very different mentalities. Finally, the entrepreneur. I think this is the reality that is often so hard to face. It's important to fail fast. Anyone recognize the first logo up here? So Twitter was Odeo, a podcasting startup, now a wildly successful platform. Instagram, bought by Facebook for $1 billion, was Bourbon, a mobile location check-in application, and PayPal allowed you to make PDA payments. Does anyone know what a PDA is? Yes, okay, we have at least 2 hands in the audience. So this is an old form of a mobile phone, a smartphone. So this was a different service completely before it became the PayPal we know today. So if you're gonna fail, which you will, it's all about failing really quickly and finding the right idea. So I thought I'd spend a moment on fundraising. This is, of course, a very popular topic that I get asked about all the time. Fundraising is not free. So many of you will go out and raise money at some point if you haven't already. Pitching burns time. It's easy to go in and say, oh yeah, it's just another hour, but there's that hour before the meeting where you're kind of tweaking the slides in the car. Has anyone been there? Yes, okay. So then there's that hour after the meeting where you're like, you should have changed that one slide. And then there's kind of that, getting from one investor to another. Before you know it, 4 or 5 hours not working on the product, not hiring, not doing all the things that are going to make your startup successful. So don't think of pitching as free. That doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. It just means just the way investors are selective about what they invest in, you should be selective about how you spend your time. Greed versus fear. This is the investor mentality. Investors either want to be in the next hot thing, or they are terrified that they are not going to be in the next hot thing. And investing, getting people to invest, is a very emotional process. It's easy to put up lots of charts, but at the end of the day, for early stage venture investing, it's all about an emotional connection with the entrepreneur. You want the investor's mind to stop thinking logically, and you want them to go, we love these guys, don't let them out of the building without giving them a check. Now, it might not actually happen that way, but you want almost that mentality. So you've got to tie into this greed versus fear mentality. Framing, buying, not selling. Have you ever gotten that email that says, so-and-so needs to reschedule day of your meeting? So it's just as important for you to be buying as it is for you to be selling. We often think of pitching, but it's also important to think about, that $20 bill is the widely available item. You, as the entrepreneur with the unique idea, is the scarce item. So think about buying, not selling. Vision or traction. Early stage companies, if you don't have 1 million users or $1 million a month in revenue, you're selling the vision. So think about how you're going to have people fall in love with what you're doing. And finally, just as you spend days and weeks and months, even years, building your actual product, you should make that same investment in you, because when you're out pitching, raising capital, you are the product. So make that same investment. So I think back to the Ironman, what is the biggest risk in doing an Ironman? It's not taking the risk to begin with. And I think that's the biggest risk. You know, when I talk to people who are further in their careers and I say, what is your biggest regret? Their biggest regret is, I didn't do this sooner. So I think taking risk, even though it's very simple to say, it's often very hard to do. Taking risk is the first step. So on that note, I want to thank you for having me here, and this is how you can reach me if you have any questions.